Good morning. Thank you for inviting me back. I'm going to start with my talk with two little poems, short poem. The poet's name is J. Dean Lydia. The first one is called Truth Seeker. I have spent my whole life searching for undeniable truth and unquantifiable feeling that pull me to the ends of the earth. But as all truth seekers who seek and the wisdom drinkers know, truth is not found searching, it's found standing right where you are. The second poem is also by Lydia, called Honesty. I used to think that honesty was simply not lying or denying what I had done. And now I know honesty to be brutally beautiful, never hiding or shying away from what is really going on in your head and mine. As human beings, we spend our whole life struggling between telling the truth or keeping the peace. I'm no exception. That is the reason why I've chosen this topic this morning. We all want to fit in, to be loved, to feel connected. At the same time, we all want to be seen and accepted as who we really are. When these two desires clash, fitting in versus standing out, we often err on the side of fitting in. So we start to hide part of ourselves that are maybe just too different or not acceptable for others. At the end, we're no longer a whole person. On the other hand, when we go against the grain, tell our truth and stand out, we may end up standing alone. Each choice can be painful. Choosing peace has a long cultural roots. On one side of the cross-cultural continuum is a direct communication style. On the other hand, side is the indirect communication style. Direct communication style usually means that we say what is true on our mind with very few filters. Indirect communication style usually hints and couch the language where the listener needs to listen more intently in order to get the meaning. Indirect communication is usually used in the collective culture where the survival of the entire culture relies on maintaining harmony. Whereas the direct communication style usually is used in the more individualistic culture where each person manages themselves more than relying on others. Chinese culture is more indirect. It has survived 4,000 years because we rely on indirect communication. You could say we're the culture of choosing peace before truth. It uses high context language. All my life, I had a hard time using this style, by the way. Beyond culture, individuals might also have learned from their childhood or life experience to choose peace, to avoid pain. There seems to be two ways of choosing peace. The first one is to keep silent. Being silent may protect us from unpleasant encounters, but it often gives the others the impression that we are willing to go along with whatever they're doing. Remember, our parents used to say, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything. But during a debate, there is no neutral position to take. Of course, there's a difference between keeping quiet when Uncle Bob freely expresses his racist, sexist, or homophobic points of view at Thanksgiving dinner table, or not speaking up on our conviction and our belief in justice. When many people tend to avoid conflict by keeping silent, that doesn't mean they are letting things go, because they often talk about others behind their backs, or letting their bias or feelings impact their relationship with others. I think we UUs are no different than any other human beings out there. By being silent too long, the truth in ourselves will start to eat our conscience away, and we become broken, sometimes even disappeared. The second way to choose peace is to tell white lies, couch our response, or use camouflage in our language. In Gasho, a Buddhist teaching site, I found the following writing on how lying shows up in ordinary moment. Quote, most everyday lie does not feel like a drastic choice. It feels like a defense mechanism. One defense is to manage our image. When we are afraid of being judged, our mind immediately comes up with a shortcut answer. Let's just say it this way, for instance. In that moment, the lie is not the only thing about facts. It's about how we're trying to control how we exist in someone else's eyes. Buddhism points to this as a form of grasping, reaching for safety through a story. Another defense is called conflict avoidance. We sense rising tension, and the mind tries to escape it by smoothing over reality. Sometimes that looks like agreeing when we really don't agree, or promising what we cannot deliver, or saying, I'm fine, actually we're not. The immediate reward is relief, but the delayed cost is resentment, confusion, and relationship that can no longer rely on our saying yes. Another defense is telling what we call helpful lies that protect someone else's feeling. But Buddhism invites us to look closely and ask, is this really true, truly benefit the others, or is it also for our own comfort? Even when no one catches the lie, we catch it. We remember what we said. We track who knows what. We subtly adjust our future speech to keep the story consistent. Buddhism pays attention to this inner, what we call bookkeeping, because it is a direct and lived form of stress. It takes extra mental work to create a moment of avoidance, unquote. Many people think telling a white lie is okay to smooth over sticky situation. As part of the Chinese culture, we spend most of our lives keeping things in harmony because we believe that when the mirror is broken, it cannot be mended. So my mother spent her whole life this way, worrying about offending others. So she would tell a small lie to smooth over a situation, but then she told many small lies. She no longer get straight all her stories. She also dragged us into the stories. It's exhausting. And over time, our little white lies put us further away from our true self and our true power. Plus, stuffing our feelings almost always lead to resentment. When little lies become big lies, this is when we're selling out our souls. We know it. We end up carrying this emotional baggage throughout our lives. We impact our self-esteem and also relationship with others. Telling the truth, like standing up or standing apart from the crowd, takes a lot of courage, especially when doing so may set us apart from the people who are very important to us. These people can be our bosses or anyone who has power over us. The risk is about judgment, retribution, or career jeopardy. If the other side is our friend or loving partners, the risk is hurting their feelings or sometimes even end up causing a breakup. Or when we take a stand against an unstable person, we may risk being physically harmed. When we stay silent, we suffer from guilt, shame, and moral injury because we know we have sold out our integrity and authenticity. But when we speak up, it might hurt people we care about. Are we letting our loyalty or fear color our view of the situation? Do we need to weigh the cost of jeopardizing our friendship and relationship against the moral value of the stand we must take? I believe that speaking the truth is always the path, even it is a painful path sometimes. Our world has become more dangerous and chaotic because as human beings, we seem to have forgotten how to work through our differences with a balance between honesty and compassion. Hiding our truth is no longer a choice. It is time for a tough conversation with ourselves first and to face our own truth. Truth-telling is how we show up for ourselves and become more of who we really are. When truth-telling requires, the first thing is our willingness to be vulnerable. Be willing to make a first move, even look kind of silly. Our truth requires us to be naked. That doesn't mean we're unsafe. Again, our truth is our power. Remember in John 8:32, and you will know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. So we need to open up, dig deep, and be honest. Remembering our truth shows our courage. Every day, the courage to tell our truth means we're making an effort rather than taking easy way out. There's a difference between our truth and the truth. Telling our truth is sharing our own experience, belief, and subjective opinions. It is not the same as universal truth, which is more ultimate and spiritual. I think if we profess that we are speaking our personal experience, our personal truth, it may make it easier for the listener to accept that, or may not get their feelings hurt. And we need to practice aligning ourselves with the courage that someone else is showing. Several times after I stuck my neck out and spoke my truth, someone would come to me privately and thank me for speaking what's on their mind. I often wonder why they don't stand with me publicly. In Zen Buddhism, truth-telling is governed by right speech, which requires that words be accurate, timely, and also beneficial, not just factually correct. If a harsh truth causes needless pain without serving a constructive purpose, Zen encourages compassionate silence, mindful restraint, or skillful reframing, rather than causing intentional harm or deception. This means that telling the truth is not about attacking, criticizing, or judging. We need to avoid the second arrow. Buddha teaches that pain is inevitable, which is the first arrow. But our reaction to it after amplifying the pain is the second arrow. If delivering a raw truth causes unnecessary, amplified suffering, it is often better to hold back. The core aim is to cultivate peace and reduce suffering. Honesty is a virtue, but is never meant to be a rigid tool to use to punish or cause distress. Here's a model we could use when we tell the truth. Start with naming what we see or what we hear, describing the behavior. Then naming the observable impact, followed by sharing how we feel. All the time, make sure we stay clear of our punitive intention. Many years ago, I went to see an off-Broadway show. It's called Defending the Caveman. I don't know any of you seen it. It was this one-man show where a middle-aged, pudgy white guy wearing a sweater vest, sitting on stage, reading a newspaper like it's like a kitchen. In his monologue, he said, "Imagine this is when my wife shows up and she holds up two dresses, one red and one blue. She would say, 'Honey, which dress do you think would look better on me?' Then the actor turned to the husbands in the audience and said, Don't answer it. It's a trick question. Because if I said red, she would say, what's wrong with the blue? If I say blue, she would say, what's wrong with the red? If I said, honey, you look good on both, she would say, wait a minute, you don't care. We're going to see your parents. So, of course, situations like this do not just happen between a husband and a wife. But what do you do in this seemingly no-win situation if you are the husband? In this case, it may require a truth-telling session where the husband needs to invite the wife into a decision-making process. The best way for the husband to start the conversation with his wife is to share the dilemma he sees himself in and tell her that he appreciates her valuing his opinion, but leave the decision-making to her. In many situations, showing vulnerability is the first step to creating a genuine conversation where truth-telling can take place. I believe a real relationship can survive this type of truth-telling. Before I close, I'd like to share some strategy that can help you choose truth over peace. First, remind yourself of your intentions. Sometimes it helps to start with your intention for the conversation to set the tone. After all, it is not about playing the blame game. What is your end goal? The point you're trying to make in the conversation. Number two, choose the right time and the place. Make sure you start the conversation in a private, quiet, and comfortable place where you both feel you can speak freely. Number three, differentiate between your truth and others' truth. There are two sides of every story. You have every right to tell your side, but remember they have a point of view too. Number four, acknowledge you understand that it's sensitive. What you say may be difficult for the other person to hear. Remember that your words you use have an impact. Number five, state your perception of the facts in hand. Make sure it's clear that you're sharing the truth. You see them. It's your perspective alone. Use I statements that describe how you feel and avoid using you because it can come across as accusatory. Number six, embrace active listening. Now, you have to allow the other person to share their perspective. What is their understanding of the situation? Are you open to hearing their answer? Leave room for their truth in the conversation. Number seven, look at big picture. Make sure you're trying to gain an understanding of what the big picture is. Are you missing anything? What happened from their point of view? Are there missing pieces? Number eight, close the conversation on a good note if possible. Sometimes the truth can change a relationship, but being concerned that you will damage a relationship should never keep you from saying something that needs to be said. Unitarian Universalists view conflict as a natural part of community and an opportunity for spiritual growth. Rather than avoiding disagreement, they aim to transform them through active listening, self-reflection, and reconciliation, guided by principles such as compassion, equity, and the inherent worth of all being. Let us not hide behind peace, nor use the truth to punish either. Let us be authentic, based on compassion and love. Before I close, I want to share one more poem. This time it's by Emma Adeline. The truth will not always save us, but it will awaken us. The truth will not always bring comfort, but it will always bring clarity. Namaste. Amen. Blessed be.